What's up, guys? This is Chris Surratt bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps you with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of all your vehicles. This is our weekend review show. We touch on a whole bunch of topics from this week that we found interesting and important to review. First off, we're going to stay with our automotive segments, and we're going to talk about something that we've been talking about for a decent amount of time recently. It's been the mass exodus of executives when it comes to the three big automakers here in the United States. We talked extensively about all of the layoffs and things of that nature, as well as all the executives that have jumped ship over the last couple of months. Specifically, the where we've seen roughly about 6 or 7 executives leave top high-paying positions in all of the companies such as Stellantis, Ford, and Honda. So we're going to continue the trend and check out a gentleman with a really cool name who's decided he's going to leave his position over at Stellantis. So let's check that out. All right, I'm going to read this one. You know how I hate reading them, but sometimes you got to do it. Longtime Jeep executive Jim Morrison leaves Stellantis. Jim Morrison headed Jeep in North America from 2019 through 2023 when he was put in charge of the new Jeep Performance division. Former Jeep North America boss Jim Morrison has left Stellantis, a company spokesperson said Thursday. Morrison oversaw Jeep's North American business from June 2019 to December 2023 when he was put in charge of the newly formed Jeep Performance Parts Unit. He was replaced by William Peffer, Maserati's North American CEO. Morrison retired at the end of May, Stellantis said, the latest in a series of recent departures of prominent executives at the automaker. In the last month, Tim Knuskis retired as CEO of Dodge and Ram, Jason Stojkovic quit after 12 months as U.S. retail sales chief, and Richard Scherzwald resigned as chief customer experience officer last week. And in January, Stellantis North America COO Mark Stewart left to become CEO of Goodyear Tire. Now that's got to be for me, that's got to be a downgrade to the Goodyear CEO of Goodyear Tire, but I don't know. Maybe Goodyear Tire is paying good monies. Morrison's career at the former Chrysler Corporation started in 1995. He had numerous roles at Jeep over the years and also was top North American executive for Ram from 2016 to 2019. He was selected as a 2019 Automotive News All-Star for growing Ram sales by making its pickups more luxurious and capable. Morrison was moved out of his Jeep role at the end of a 5th consecutive year of U.S. sales declines for the brand. Stellantis appointed Antonio Filosa as CEO of Jeep in November. Filosa succeeded Christian Munier, who oversaw the brand's global operations since 2019. Now, all right, my friends, we got to look at this as a prelude to horrible things. When you see people like Mr. Morrison and others like Knuskis and Stojkovic leaving their positions, that tells you a lot. And it's, of course, based off of the massive declines in sales, the massive loss in market share, and the tumultuous situations that these big three automakers have been going through over the last couple of months, dare say years. With the innovation of the EV vehicles and the desire for them, it is putting major strain on not only the big three automakers, but specifically the Stanley EV, though they do have a electric Jeep Wrangler out now, and I know they're coming out with more EV Jeep vehicles. Those vehicles are not ready for the EV market as of yet, and the EV market is in full bloom with the Aventus Tesla Cybertruck, the Rivian trucks that are now available. They are taking up so much of their market share. Seeing major problems and major complications in their industries to the point where they're deciding to leave. They're deciding to leave the automotive industry altogether. And some of them are just retiring and just get out of the way. And we're going to see this continue because the EV industry, all of the new EV automakers that are taking so much of this market share, and such decline in the sales for these vehicles is going to affect everybody in these industries. It's horrible. It's very horrible. We have to pay attention because these are people and if the people at the top lose their jobs, you can only think about what's happened to the people at the bottom. We've spoken endlessly about layoffs as of late, and it's been horrible. But we will try to put some positivity out there, and we're going to talk about not layoffs, but we're going to talk about new jobs. And we are going to talk about where we are seeing that there are some places, some companies are still building, still putting out new product, and still hiring new people in all. So now, and we're going to try to do this a little bit as often as possible because we know that there have been major layoffs in major factories in the automotive industry all over the world. So we want to give you people some openings in other places that might fit you, and because we know that in some cases losing your job is not only it's heartbreaking, but in some cases it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to say that maybe where you're living is not the place to be, and maybe you want to move to somewhere else, maybe like North Alabama. Let's check it out.
North Alabama, thanks for joining us. I'm Tamika Alexander.
I'm Ben Hoover. Thanks for being with us. Toyota announcing today a $282 million investment in their Alabama operations. News 19's Kayla Smith joining us live here in the studio with the story tonight. So what's this mean for auto workers?
Well, we should have more of them in North Alabama soon. Toyota Alabama announced today it's hiring 350 new workers in the Huntsville area. This expansion comes in the wake of a series of large investments totaling $1.7 billion. The Huntsville plants currently operate 4 production lines capable of building traditional combustion engines and hybrid engines for Toyota's new Tacoma line. Last year, North Alabama workers assembled more than 770,000 engines. That's more than any other North American Toyota branch. Those engines are sent to 7 different vehicle plants located across the U.S.
And how will this production change? How will this change production in Huntsville?
Well, the president of Toyota Alabama, Jason Puckett, says that this money will mean more production lines. The number of engines produced has increased over the past few years. At max production, Toyota could currently build as many as 900,000 engines in North Alabama.
So are the jobs now open to applicants?
They are actually. Right now, you can go online and apply for those jobs. We actually have that information listed for everyone on WHMT.com.
All right, some great news tonight. Kayla, thanks so much.
All right, great news. Job openings. It's a beautiful thing, and all you gotta do is decide you want to live over in Alabama. And I've heard great things about living in Alabama. Some great people there that I personally know. Maybe it's time to move. I know there's people in Michigan that just lost their jobs, some in Wisconsin, and Alabama might be the spot. We have to at all times, my friends, try to look on the positive side of everything. It's horrible that all of these automakers are losing jobs and they're having major layoffs, but then of course there are all those places that are hiring. So it's just, if your area doesn't have good jobs and you're having a hard time feeding your family, look into Alabama, job openings in Wisconsin. We'll try our best to continue to provide you with job openings as much as we provide you with the news that people are getting laid off. So we add positive with the negative, so people understand that there's going to be losses, but there's going to be opportunities elsewhere. And you just have to open your mind, open your where you want to live, open your desires on where you want to work at, because change is coming and you're going to have to change with it. So next up, we're going to talk about rappers from back in the day. Bernard Freeman, aka Bun B, was in court this past week in his trial against a young man that did a home invasion against him and his wife. Now, we're going to talk about this because it's been all in the news, all over Black Twitter, specifically about Bun B and who he is, and even if he should have been, testifying in this young man's sentencing hearing. So let's check that out real quickly, and then we're going to talk about it.
And today, for the first time, we heard from Houston rapper and businessman Bun B. He talked publicly about the night a man broke into his house, held his wife at gunpoint, and then tried to rob them.
Yeah, he faced that man in court today during the sentencing phase of his trial. Brianna Connor takes us through Bun's testimony.
It has taken 5 years for the trial to get to this point, and it was clear that Bun B was ready to testify, explaining to the court how that violent attempted robbery still impacts his family to this day. Back in April of 2019, Bun B's wife thought she had an Amazon delivery. Instead, DeMonte Jackson was at their door with a gun. He forced his way inside, heading to the garage in an attempt to steal their car. Bun B says he ran downstairs with his gun when he heard his wife screaming and shot Jackson, who was arrested later on. He got emotional on the stand today, recalling that night and telling the court that his wife didn't deserve the trauma that Jackson has caused. Listen to him recalling why he felt the need to go after Jackson that night with a weapon.
Just the idea of seeing my wife in this state, hearing her voice in this state. I mean, I'm her husband. That's my primary job, is to protect her and make her feel safe. And I wanted to know who had done this to her.
Jackson previously pleaded guilty to aggravated robbery, which is how we got to today's sentencing hearing. His defense team had no questions for Bun B, and it's not clear when the court will hear from his wife, but she is expected to testify. In the studio, I'm Brianna Connor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Stuff, guys. So, first off, it's a situation where we are talking about a man who not only had to pull out a gun to protect his family from a criminal, and now after he pull out his gun and protect his family from a criminal, he has to sit in a courtroom. He didn't. This is not. Please understand what's in snitching, who has committed a crime with another person, goes tails on the person that they committed a crime with. In this situation, Bun B is a civilian. Okay? Not a criminal who is doing a crime with another criminal, to the point where if he says something in court, he is snitching. Not only that, he is saying these things in the sentencing stage. He didn't even go into the criminal court situation and say anything. This is the sentencing stage. So the young gentleman has already been found guilty. Everybody understands that he's guilty. There's probably massive amounts of evidence to prove that he's guilty. So this is not a situation that Bun B is snitching. I've seen so much excoriating conversation about Bun B trying to act like he is snitch and he ain't shit because he decided to speak on this young man. This young man went in his house and held a gun to his wife's head. This young man should be happy he is alive. He should be happy he is alive. And no one should have an ounce of frustration ever towards Bun B for making these statements in court or for shooting this young man after he put a gun to this man's wife's head to steal a car. And this show about this a car show, and cars ain't worth that shit. They no way in hell a car is worth any of the frustration that these are going through in their lives right now, including this young man's family, including Bun B's family. It's just a sad portrayal of the situations that we're going about in this world right now, and how we view things. Our view things is all messed up. To even think to view this man in negative light for sitting here and telling the story about how his home was invaded and how his peace was interrupted is asinine. So shout out to Bun B, RP. I hope his family can heal from this. Obviously, like he was saying there, his wife hasn't completely healed. And I hope, that the young man gets, the help he needs so that he can continue his future in this world. All right, last but not least, we're going to hit one story that caught my eye this week. I think this is a most important story because for some reason we think a world that is immune to people coming at us. For some reason, everybody, the United States think we're and to some degree we are, but there are other people that can threaten us and do things to us. So we're gonna check out some that talked about it.
Moving to Russia, where the Kremlin has labeled the United States as an enemy, reportedly for the first time. The remark was made by Vladimir Putin's press secretary, Dmitry Peskov. Until now, neither Putin nor the Kremlin had ever referred to the United States as an enemy of Russia. During a press briefing, Peskov said, quote, "We are now an enemy country for them, just as they are for us," end quote. Now, this was in response to a claim made by a former American intelligence officer who was recently barred from traveling to Russia and had his passport confiscated by U.S. border officials. Now, the Kremlin's shift in rhetoric comes days after U.S. President Joe Biden allowed Ukraine to strike inside Russia with some American weapons. Latest reports say Ukrainian forces have used U.S. weapons to strike Russian targets inside Russia to defend the Kharkiv region. Now, this has angered Putin even further, who has now warned that Moscow could arm other countries with similar weapons to attack Ukraine's Western allies.
What must we do in response? First of all, we will improve our air defense systems to destroy the missiles. Secondly, we think that if someone thinks it is possible to supply such weapons to a combat zone to strike at our territory and create problems for us, why do we not have the right to supply our weapons of the same class to those regions of the world where there will be strikes on the sensitive facilities of those countries that are doing this against Russia?
Now, Putin's remarks comes as Russia is expected to send combat vessels into the Caribbean region this summer to participate in naval exercises. This will likely include port calls in Cuba and potential stops in Venezuela. Washington says Russia wants to show that it's still capable of some level of power projection. However, the Biden administration does not view the deployment with alarm since Russia repeatedly sails ships into the Western Hemisphere. But now, with tensions increasing between the two nations over the war in Ukraine, it remains to be seen if Russia's naval drills will become a flashpoint of heightened alarm for the United States.
All right, so for the homie from America, guys, we're entering an age where the Ukraine situation is creating such a kerfuffle with us. It's only nobody's paying attention. Nobody cares. Too caught up in the silly crap that's going on in our world. But this is a major thing. And Putin literally just said that, if the United States is sit here and give weapons of mass destruction, massive weapons to Ukraine in their war against Russia, why would stop or them from start giving those same sorts of weapons to smaller countries around us that could attack us. Cuba, Venezuela. If they were to arm these countries and then Cuba was to send a missile over to America, we wouldn't blame Russia, we'd blame Cuba and we destroyed them. If Venezuela did it, they sent over a missile that Cuba or Russia sent them and sent it over here, we would destroy Venezuela. Knowing that the enemy and the op truly is Russia. But we're creating Russia into an op by continuously backing the Ukraine. And now Russia openly admits that we're enemy of them. Is that open to action? Are they openly prepared for war because we've already sided with Ukraine? This is a problem, and it's only going to get worse. Once they start supplying places like Cuba and Venezuela with weapons, all it's got to be is you got to do is get barbecue or one of them cats over there to do something silly and send a missile over to America, which wouldn't be too far, and kill thousands. And then we start a war. And the war probably wouldn't even be with Russia. It would be with one of these smaller countries that we would ultimately, but it would weaken us to the point where Russia could attack us. Now this is all synopsis and soliloquy. Can't prove it to be fact, but I do know that the Cold War continues. I know that Russia still does things over here that prepares them for an all-out attack if they desire. And this is just a statement in fact that they could, they would, and they're telling you why. So please be prepared. When it comes from executives leaving top automaker, a dealer of one of these automakers, if you're a person who is a supporter of the Ukraine, if you're a person who doesn't really worry about war and the effects of other countries on us, start to pay attention, because eventually it will affect you too. Fantastic NBA Finals game on tonight. Beautiful day out here in California, so I'm going to go out here and enjoy it. I hope it's beautiful where you are, so you get an opportunity to enjoy it as well. I'm your boy Chris Surratt. I'm out of here. Peace.